Welcome into Believe in Nebraska. I'm Kaleb Henry. Let's hop into Huskers today for November 11th, 2024, powered by Husker Max. Nebraska football was off this past weekend, gets back to it this week, and a West Coast road trip. Huskers and USC Trojans will kick off from the LA Coliseum Saturday, 3 o'clock Central on Fox. Well, Nebraska coach Matt Rhule spoke with the media today, began with the news of Dana Holgorsen taking over as the play caller and offensive coordinator for the rest of this year. Rhule answered several questions on the topic.
Obviously, we made the move with Dana last week. He will call the plays this week and serve as the offensive coordinator moving forward. So with that, let's see what questions you got.
Moving forward, for this week or for the rest of the season?
For the rest of the season.
Okay.
Why would Dana be calling the plays? What do you think he can bring to the table?
I think, called him last week, had him come in, had him kind of look at everything. I think he's got a long history of success offensively, both as a head coach, but certainly as a coordinator before that. And I think he just kind of gives us a fresh perspective on looking at kind of what we're doing and who we're doing it with, and was able to sort of say, hey, let's kind of go in these directions over here. So, I just think it gives us a great opportunity to have one of the great offensive minds, a guy that I've been friends with before and I trust, and excited to see what he does.
Can you speak on how that relationship started with him and what through the years you've really respected about him?
Well, I think it goes all the way back to me going to the convention as a young assistant and sitting and listening to him talk, and then coached against him when he was at West Virginia. Saw the evolution of what he did there in terms of, going to a cold weather place, running the football, but still being really explosive, winning. We're represented by the same people, so we see each other at a lot of different places. He's friends with my wife and I. We come to Charlotte quite a bit, and so just someone I respect as a coach. This is it's not a friend thing. It's more of a I just respect him. I respect what he's done. He got done last year and probably needed some time, and I called him last week and said, hey, can you come in and help? So he and Phil came in and kind of looked through everything, and I think he felt confident. I think he likes, as he said to me, he likes our coaches, he likes our players, and felt like he could help.
How unique is this? Have you been around something like this where week 11 you make a change like this with somebody that's not even in your building to take over calling the plays?
It's probably unique, but it's what's needed. It's the right thing. I think the genesis of this was, I think what you're going to see now as coaches get fired. I think you'll start to see coaches like leaving maybe even before bowl games and coaching bowl games, and so the players can have some familiarity with them. And I think that that was kind of in my head of like, hey, I think you've seen coaches take jobs now and then go there and coach the bowl game. When I went to Baylor, I sat out and didn't do that, and so I didn't really have a chance to know the players till mid-spring. And so last Sunday, I appreciate all the work our staff has done. I love how hard they've grinded and cared about the kids and done their best and produced some good moments. And I felt like we needed some help, and so I just thought this was, the right thing to do. At the end of the day, like, it might be bold, it might be unique. And again, I didn't bring him at first with that. I said, hey, come and see. And I think as he got here, he felt comfortable. And Marcus walked in right away and was like, tell me everything you need. And Glenn did the same thing. And Garrett said, I can translate this into your language. And, so, and then Dana's obviously, he's really, really smart guy offensively. He can figure out kind of what we're doing and what we do well. So,
Is this
I'm sorry.
Is this signal a shift in your head coach's offensive philosophy?
I want to score points. I think the thing with Dana, Dana came up last year, to visit, and at the time I was hoping, maybe he would do one of those. Sometimes as a head coach, you get fired, you go and you go down to Alabama, work for Nick Saban or something like that. And I looked at Coach Saban's history of having Bill O'Brien and Lane Kiffin and all those guys as OCs, guys who've been head coaches who have perspective. This is a lonely job sometimes, and to have someone in the building who's done that, you have someone to bounce ideas off of. So at the time, I was hoping maybe at some point he'd be ready to do this. But no, I mean, if I look, if I'm being honest about myself, if I look back, I think, we've always done a good job of playing really good defense. We've always done a good job of being physical. We've always done a really good job of developing players. When we've had good offenses, we've won games. And so Dana, when I think about what he's done, going to Oklahoma State, what he did there, going to West Virginia, the run game that they had, I competed against them. It was a really, really physical, tough team. And so it just made sense to me.
Where does this leave Sat, and how do you structure the offensive coaching staff with a change like this and 3 games to go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just worried about right now. Marcus is about as good a man as I know, and he could have just said, "Hey, you know what? Fire me. Give me my money. I'm going to go home." But he didn't. He didn't. And in a world where, trust me, I get it. It's a results business, but you're still trying to teach some life lessons to our guys. He humbled himself and said, "What do I need to do?" And it's like the first day Dana said to me, he watched practice. He's like, "Man, you got really good coaches. I'm watching them out there. I'm watching EJ, I'm watching Donnie, I'm watching Sat, I'm watching Glenn, I'm watching Garrett. There's great coaches here. We just have to find the things that our guys do well. Let's just do those things and eliminate all the other stuff." And so. So Sat's out there coaching the tight ends. Garrett's coaching the wideouts. Donnie's coaching the O-line. Glenn's coaching the quarterbacks. EJ's coaching the running backs. And anything that Dana needs, he's they're helping him. You can't come in and change the offense. You can't come in and install the air raid. You can't come in and. We're in week 11, as you said, but you can come in and say, "Hey, what are the things that we do well? Who are the guys that make plays, and let's figure out how to do it with those guys." So I think that's the big picture that I think he's doing right now.
The Big Ten Conference has announced kickoff times for the weekend of November 23rd. Nebraska set to host Wisconsin that day for Senior Day. Kickoff slated for 2:30 on the Big Ten Network. Although not with the team for at least a month, former Nebraska defensive back Sincere Safiula announced on social media Sunday that he would be entering the transfer portal. He came to Lincoln as part of Matt Rhule's first class, redshirting in 2023, not appearing in a game this fall. On the recruiting trail, a Nebraska commit has flipped to Kansas. Bryson Hayes, a 3-star wide receiver who boasts 4.3 speed in the 40, is electing to stay closer to his home in Maize, Kansas. Nebraska volleyball completed a Pacific Northwest swing without dropping a single set. Huskers swept the Washington Huskies Saturday night, 25-17, 25-11, 25-21, to improve to 24-1 on the year and remain unblemished in Big Ten Conference play. With Penn State's loss, the Big Red are the only defeated team in the league as they prepare to host number 16 Minnesota on Thursday. In the latest AVCA rankings, Nebraska remains at number 2 behind top-ranked Pitt. Louisville, Penn State, and Creighton round out the top 5. Rest of the top 10 goes Wisconsin, Stanford, Purdue, Arizona State, and SMU. Other ranked Big Ten teams outside of the top 10 are Oregon at 11, Minnesota at 16, USC at 23. Number 3, Nebraska wrestling began the season with a 32-7 win over Utah Valley on Friday. Huskers got wins in 8 of the 10 matches to start the season 1-0. They're off to North Carolina this Friday to take on Campbell and the number 24 Tar Heels. Nebraska women's basketball closed on an 8-0 run to slip past Southeastern Louisiana Saturday afternoon. Natalie Potts scored 17 points to go with a game-high 7 rebounds. Freshman Britt Prince did not play due to a minor injury that is not expected to keep her out for an extended amount of time. Next up is a home matchup against Southern on Tuesday at 7 o'clock on Big Ten Plus. In the latest AP poll, Huskers up to 2 spots to number 21, the top 10 teams. South Carolina, UConn, USC, Texas, UCLA, Notre Dame, LSU, Iowa State, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. Other Big Ten teams outside of the top 10. Maryland at 11, Ohio State 12, Illinois at 23, Oregon at 25. Nebraska men's basketball made 6 of 7 free throws in the final minute to hold off Bethune-Cookman on Saturday. Despite 18 turnovers and 34% shooting, NU improves to 2-0. Huskers host Fairleigh Dickinson on Wednesday, 7 o'clock on Big Ten Plus. Nebraska coach Fred Hoiberg earlier today on the team's performance.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we had really good activity defensively. I thought our hands were great. We had a lot of deflections, and that led to some turnovers. Now we've got to convert the other end. I did not think we took advantage anytime we had numbers, getting our shot blocked in transition or playing out of control. So that was a big thing we worked on today is getting more under control, finding a way to play off 2 feet, making the right play and slowing down. I just really thought we pressed in the paint, and that's what led to missing a lot of easy ones. And we had some good spray out threes. We want to continue to take those. They weren't falling for us the other day, but our defense won us that game. We found a way to stay competitive, especially that first half where we shot 25% and went into the locker room with the lead, extended it out. And again, I know I've talked about this at length, but we got to find a way to put a team away when we have them down. And, hopefully our guys get that sooner than later. Got another good team coming in here that was right there with Creighton all the way up until about the 3-minute mark, and Creighton went on a run and Creighton extended it. So this team is fast. They're well coached, and they've got a lot of guys that can put the ball in the basket.
Turning our attention now to some Husker headlines, a pair of ESPN writers have Nebraska football going to the Rate Bowl in Arizona on December 26th, with one pitting NU against Baylor, the other saying Texas Tech. Got to win another game first. That starts this Saturday, where the Big Red are underdogs by more than a touchdown. In other Husker headlines, Common Fans assesses the state of the Husker football program while honoring America's veterans in their latest post. And Nebraska volleyball continues to be one of the best shows on the road, as Marin Angus Combs writes that 3 of the last 4 matches have resulted in attendance records for Husker opponents. 24. Don't forget to subscribe to Believe in Nebraska on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to visit HuskerMax.com for all the latest in Huskers news and subscribe to the Husker Max YouTube page. I'm Kaleb Henry saying GBR as always and believe in Nebraska.